Hey, beautiful. This is your intuitive consultant and life coach, Avalaura, with another edition of Avalaura Heal My Life podcast. Listen in each week because I'm helping you to heal your life, heal your relationships, learn how to do meaningful work in the world, and make an impact that creates legacy. So go ahead and get your pen and paper, get your favorite drink, and listen in now.
Women's retreats have been a big part of my self-care. It's a way for me to regroup, replenish, recharge, and refocus myself. I've had some of my biggest breakthroughs during a retreat, and I want to share that experience with you. I've worked very hard to cultivate a luxury retreat experience exclusively for Black women leaders. I've held this vision for this retreat for years, and this is the experience that I've always looked for, I've craved for, but I couldn't find. And so now I've created it for you. Come spend a Wusa week with us in Spain from October 28th to November 3rd, 2019, and let us take care of you. This is not just a retreat, it's a vacation, it's an experience, it's a movement for simply being and living fully. For more information, go to my website at bit.ly/Black Women Leaders Retreat. That's bit.ly, bit.ly/Black Women Leaders Retreat, or contact me directly at avalaura@avalaura.com. I look forward to seeing you in Spain.
Greetings, beautiful ones. Welcome to another amazing edition of Avalaura Heals Radio. I'm Avalaura, your intuitive consultant and life coach, and I want you to tune in each week to learn how to heal from whole to wholeness in your life, your relationships, your business, and your career. So I'm ridiculously excited about this show because I know that I am going to introduce you to something that more than likely 99.9% of you have never heard about. Or if you have heard about it, you know very little. And as you know, if you've been listening to my show for a while, you know that I love introducing you to new aspects of healing. One of the things that I love most in life is learning. And I love being introduced to things, even if I may not agree with it, or even if it seems like it's something that it might be a little cuckoo crazy or a little out there. I just love being introduced to new things because it just shows me how little I actually know, right? You know, there's that saying that the more you know, you realize the more you don't know. And that's what happens. And that's one of the things that I've experienced is that the more that I'm exposed to in life, the more, just different people that I speak to from different countries, different cultures, different backgrounds, the more that I learn, the more that I'm exposed to, and the more that I realize that what I thought I knew, there's so much more to learn. So I know that this is going to be one of those episodes for you. So again, as always, you're going to want to get out your pen, your pad. If you are not available to write, if you're in your car listening, if you're, doing chores, doing the dishes, sitting at your desk, whatever it might be, you're working on something else, but you're kind of listening in the background, just make sure you come back. Make sure you come back, listen again, and take some notes. Cause this episode is gonna blow your mind. I'm just gonna tell you. I'm just preparing you right now, okay? I'm preparing you for the mind blowation. It's gonna happen. So I would love to hear from you. Love, love, love. This is a topic that I could talk about all day long. I am not going to do that to you. So if you have questions, if you want to schedule a consultation, you want to talk to me, email me at avalaura@avalaura.com. Share your tweets, your ahas, your woo, I didn't know that. Facebook, on Twitter, hashtag Avalaura Heals, hashtag What we're going to be talking about today is Marabout. And Marabout is spelled Marabout. Marabout. When most people say it, as particularly Americans, they say Marabout. Marabout is a French word. Okay, so it's spelled Marabout. Hashtag Avalaura Heals. Hashtag Marabout. I would love to hear from you because I know that this is going to be a mind-blowing show. So for those of you who don't know, who are not familiar with Marabout, even if you are, this is what I call the ultimate healing modality. You know, a lot of people that come to me have been through the ringer. And when I say that, I mean that this is not their first rodeo. I don't get too many people that are just fresh out, haven't tried any number of different healing modalities, coaching, counseling. You know, very rarely do I get somebody who is green per se that, you know, maybe they found me, they saw my website, they got a referral, they haven't tried other things previous. Most of my clients, they've tried different things and they're still searching for more. They're still looking for more, and I'm it. So Marabout is one of those things that when people come to me and they say, "Oh, Avalaura, I've just tried everything." I say, "Oh, really? Have you?" Because I know they haven't tried Marabout. And they haven't tried it because most of them aren't even aware of it. I just had a client today, actually, that I spoke to who said, Avila, I've tried everything else. And so I wanted to eventually try this, a different system that she was telling me about. And I said, but you haven't tried everything. And I said, have you tried Marabout? And she said, what's that? I said, exactly. You haven't tried everything. And so if you don't get anything else out of this episode today, I want you to understand that when you think you've done it all, just know that you haven't. When you think you have done it all, know that you haven't. There's always a way, always a way. And that's one of the beautiful things that I love about healing. See, because as long as there's a God, there's another way. And what I have learned, really what this system has taught me and just own life and working with my clients is that we tend to place a lot of limitations on life and on ourselves. And we can do that. We're human beings. We have limitations. But the one being that does not have a limitation is God. And if you understand that God has no limitations, then you will understand that there is always a way. As long as you believe, there is always a way. Even if you don't know what that way is, as long as you understand that there is a God with no limitations, there is always a way. So when I get clients who come to me and says, Avalaura, I've tried everything. I've tried to have children. Nothing has worked. I've had these problems, these blockages, and I don't know what's going on. And I've tried everything. Nothing has worked. I've gone to the doctor and they've said that I have some, crazy disease that I never even heard of that's incurable. And I've tried everything and nothing has worked. I'm not going to say I've heard it all because I know I haven't heard it all. Every time when I think that there's more that I learn, but I've heard a lot. I've heard a lot. And whenever somebody comes to me with these problems, that's when Marabout comes into play. Because I know that even if I'm not aware of what it is that you're going through, and a lot of times I am, but even if I'm not aware of it, I know that Marabout is the ultimate healing modality. I call it the Bentley of healing. Okay. There's nothing that can't be solved with it. It's all a matter of, and I'm just going to be real with you. It's all a matter of your budget and your ability to surrender, if you will. What is your budget and what is your ability to just surrender into the unknown, into something that you may or may not understand, but you're looking for an answer. You know that you need help and you're willing to do what's necessary to get it. That's what's required. And for most people can't handle that. Most people can't. But I get quite a few people who can. So let me talk to you a little bit about what Marabout is. So as I told you, it is a French word. And the word literally means spiritual or religious teacher. Or you could say religious leader or practitioner. So Marabout is actually a title as well as a spiritual system for healing. It is a system that is passed down from teacher to student. So a lot of times, particularly in Africa, where you'll find in Western Africa, where you'll find Marabout practice a lot in Gambia, in Senegal, in Mali, places like that, you'll find people that call themselves Marabouts. I don't call myself a Marabout. My teacher doesn't call himself a Marabout. If you ask him his title, he'll just say, "I'm a spiritual person. I believe in God." That's he's very humble. So he doesn't there's no titles, but you will find people who do title themselves as a Marabout. So the people that I found that are familiar with this practice are people who a lot of times who have traveled to West Africa and have met Marabouts or became familiar with it in that regard. But if you haven't, more than likely you're not familiar with it at all. So it is a religious system, as I said, or a title. It is traditionally practiced in Islamic cultures, in Sufism. It's closely tied to those, although it has elements of other religions as well, Judaism, Christianity. It's not a religious practice, so I want to sort of take that out, but I want to give you a context. Sometimes people say, "Oh, I can't do that because it's this religion or it's that religion." It really isn't that, but its roots are, of course, in spirituality, in religion, because that is where the power is coming from to heal. Ultimately, the power is coming from God. And truthfully, that's the power in all things that we do. You go to the doctor, it's not the doctor who's healing you, it's God who is using that doctor. So that is the truth in all that we are and everything that we do. When you come to me, I tell people all the time that, these are my gifts. This is my purpose. But if you come to me and I help you, I heal you, it's not me. It's God using me as his vessel, because God works through people. That is how God works. And so I look at that in all things. When people come to me, when they need help, I look at that as God bringing them to me because he can use me to help them. So it's the same thing. So I do want to give you a base, but it's not a religion. It's not a spirituality per se. It is a system for healing that uses spirituality. Okay? So I want to make that very clear. And I want you to get in context like this. And I talked about it before when I've talked about Reiki, even when I've talked about things like meditation and things like that, is that, remember, again, understand that before we had modern medicine, there have always been healers. There have been shamans. There have been priests. There have been, people who heal, right? And so Marabout is one of those systems that, again, came about before we had modern medicine. How were people able to heal? Who were the people that you went to when you had dreams and you had to get your dreams interpreted, right? Who were the people that you went to when you had any kind of sickness, when you had problems having children, when you needed to go to a midwife, right, to give birth? All of these different things. So Marabout is simply another system like that was utilized before we had modern medicine and is still utilized today for things that modern medicine simply can't help you with, or for people who don't even have access to modern medicine. So everything has its place. Everything has its place. The traditional with the non-traditional, with the Western, all of these things really have their place. And one of the things that I love about this show is exposing you to everything so that you can understand you have choices. And whatever it is that you're going through, you have choices. Whether you want to go for that surgery and say, "You know what, let me go ahead. I'm going to get the surgery because this is what I need. But then I'm also going to use Reiki before and after my surgery to help with the healing process. Or I'm going to go ahead and get that surgery, but I'm going to come to Avalaura for Marabout to pray for me to make sure that this process goes well, because I don't want to leave it up to just my doctors," right? I understand that it's all spiritually based, and I believe that with prayer and with meditation and with all these things, I'm going to have a better outcome. And that is scientifically proven, with prayer, meditation, and things like that, you will have a better outcome. So you can blend all of these systems together. You can pick and choose, but I want you to know that you have options, that there's so many things out there that you're not even familiar with. And the beautiful thing about Marabout is, like I said, it really can be used for everything. And I've used it for just about everything, because it's a system for essentially prayer. You're appealing to God to ask for the things that we want. And there's specialized ways of doing that. So you might say, well, Avalaura, I don't need you. I can pray to God directly. And you absolutely can. I would never be that person to say you need a priest, you need a minister. You absolutely can. You should always have your own relationship with God, and you absolutely can pray to God directly. You don't need anybody to help you with that. But there are things that you don't know. There are things that you just don't know. And there are prayers, and there are different ceremonies and different herbs and things like that that can be utilized to help you on your behalf that you are not familiar with. And that's when you get a Marabout. That's when you get somebody who's an expert in this, that when you are having a problem that you can't shake, that you can't understand, that it's causing obstacles for you and you don't even understand what's going on, you get a Marabout to pray on your behalf, to do these special things that you don't know how to do. That is not your expertise. You might know how to call out and pray for God, and then he says, bam, go to Avalaura. And that's how God works, because God works through people. So understanding that, and it happens to me all the time. If people come to me all the time in different ways, and it's always fascinating to me. I've had people tell me, Avalaura, I had a dream about you. I was looking for something else, and somehow your website popped up, and I don't even know how it got there because I wasn't even looking for you. I didn't even know who you were. I've heard so many stories, and then I looked at your website, and you were exactly what I was looking for, but I didn't even realize it. I've heard I've heard so many sometimes seemingly crazy stories, or I heard your name or somebody was talking about you and I just felt like I needed to work with you, or I saw you at something and I just knew you were the one. I hear things like that all the time. And when I hear that, I know that that's all God, because that's how God works. And a lot of times when I talk to these people, they say, well, Avalaura, I have been praying about this problem. I have been having this problem and I didn't know what to do. And I went to this person and I went to that person and I've been praying, praying, praying. And when they say that to me, I know that God sent them to me as their answered prayer. I know that. I know that. And it's such a beautiful thing to me because I love seeing how that happens. And so you might be saying, Avalaura, you're talking a lot about God. Do I have to believe in God? Like, maybe I don't. Or, this is, why do you keep talking about that? This is my foundation. I love me some God. You hear me? Love me some God. And I'm very clear that I would not be the person that I am, that I could not help you in the way that I could help you if it weren't for my foundation and my relationship with God. I know that. You can have your own spiritual beliefs. One thing that I will never do is put my beliefs on anybody else. I'm a judgment-free zone. I really don't care what you believe. I don't. I would never impose my beliefs on you. But this is what I know to be true. This is what I believe. And I have helped people who have shaky relationships with God. I'm going to just be real. They're like, Avalaura, I just don't know. But I'm going to trust you. I'm going to believe in you. And I'm going to trust this process. And that's really, it's a surrendering. It's a faith walk. It really is. And if you can do that, I can help you. But if you're resistant and like, oh, I don't know about this and I don't even want to help you, because I can't help you if you're not clear. It's very difficult to help somebody who doesn't want to be helped or is not sure. But even if you don't necessarily believe in all of this stuff, you don't understand all of this stuff, but you trust and you can have faith and you can surrender, oh, we're good. We are good. So, yes, I'm talking about a lot about God today. So, hopefully that's okay with you. And if not, oh well, you'll be all right. You'll be all right. But that's why this is the most powerful system, because it does rely on God. Because I am directly appealing to God for help on your behalf. I am doing certain prayers and certain rituals that I have been taught to do, that have been handed down from my teacher to me to help you. That is how it works. And that's why the results are phenomenal. That's why they are also permanent. I can help you in ways that life coaching can't help you, that Reiki can't help you, that meditation can't help you. That's why this is the Bentley of healing. And I love this quote by Deepak Chopra where he says that there's no problem in the world that does not have a spiritual solution. There's no problem in the world that does not have a spiritual solution. And that's what I have found from Marabout, that it really cuts to the root. It gets to the heart of every problem. And I just remember when I started practicing it, it was so funny. I had clients who, just a little bit about my background, and if you've been listening to my show for a while, you know about me, but a little bit about my background and having my roots in Western, and in Western education. Got my bachelor's degree in psychology, got my master's degree in social work. And, before I started my own healing journey and before I started really researching and learning about holistic health and alternative health and all of these things, I was like most of you, where I was a very spiritual person, but I also will say that I was lost. That there was a lot that I didn't understand. Even though I've always been a very spiritual person, I had been exposed to things, but I couldn't put them in context. I couldn't quite understand them, because I didn't have a real foundation. I was just kind of all over the place. And so there were a lot of things that I would come into contact with that I didn't believe. And I remember having clients who came to me. This is true, y'all. Who would come to me and say, "Oh, Avalaura, I think somebody, put roots on me, or I think there's a curse on me, or I think somebody did some black magic or something, or voodoo on me." And I'm like, "Oh, whatever. That's not true. That's not real." Just true story, y'all. I was like, that's not true. Like, it's just your mind. It's just your mind. And as I was working with people, and I would, and I was helping them through counseling and coaching, they weren't getting better. I mean, and let me say this. I'm not going to say they weren't getting better. They would have some improvements, but the heart of the matter, the things that we were working on, life circumstances, it would seem like obstacles were just coming out of nowhere. Like they would get fired from their job, or all of a sudden people would start turning on them and talking about them, or they were just losing their money. Like these weird things would be happening. They got in a car accident, like all these, and I'm like, what is going on? Why do you just seem to have so much bad luck? Like one person can't have so many problems. What is happening? And not that you can't, because we all have problems, but there would be so many problems all at once, or, just like you just can't catch a break. You get through one thing and then something else happens immediately. Like something has got to be going on. But I didn't believe in all this black magic stuff, or that people actually had the power to cause evil for somebody else. Like I couldn't wrap my brain around that, because that was not my that was not my foundation. Even though I grew up in a Christian household, I didn't grow up believing that stuff. That's not what I was taught. So when people would come to me with these problems, I would, I became part of the problem in that, "Oh no, that's not true. No, 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 no. That, let's just do this, counseling's to help." But I found out through my own experience that, you know what, something is not right here. There's something going on with this person, and I can't help them. And I'm not saying that I'm the end all be all, that if I can't help them, that means nobody can't. But I was just very clear that there was something else happening that I couldn't wrap my brain around. Intuitively, I just knew. And it was so interesting how I was getting these clients, and then I was exposed to Marabout maybe, a 6 months to a year after I started seeing this. It was almost kind of like God was preparing me in a sense. I had seen some things. And so when I was exposed to Marabout, it was like, oh my God, this is real. Like, this is really, really real. Cause y'all, I'm telling you, I didn't believe. I didn't know. That was not what I was taught. And you're definitely not going to learn this in Western psychology and medicine. And even though I was trained in psychology at Howard University, which I would say is one of the best places to learn psychology, because you're learning it from a Black perspective, you're learning it from a more spiritual perspective, but I still didn't know about this stuff. I still didn't believe. So one of the things that I've been able to help people with that is oh so real is black magic, is quote unquote what we call voodoo, is roots, we call in the South, is curses, all of these things that we're not taught in this society. We really are taught to believe that we're in control of everything, right? That everything is in our mind and that you can't give anybody power to hurt you. But I'm sorry, y'all, that's just not true. There are forces out there. There are evil forces out there that if a person knows how to tap into them and use them, they absolutely can use them to hurt you. That's just the truth. And you have no control over that because spirituality is the most powerful force there is. It is more powerful than your mind. It is more powerful than your emotions. That's why spiritual work is so key. That's why I love this work, because I'm literally getting to the root of any problem. So if you are encountering situations that just aren't right, intuitively they're just not right, or you've had readings. I get a lot of people, they've had readings and some psychic told them that, this happened to them or somebody did something to them. That stuff is real. Now, I'm not validating all psychics, because a lot of that stuff is crazy. I'm going to just tell you right now, a lot of people don't know what they're talking about and they don't know what they're doing. So you do need to go to a reputable person. Because there's a lot of false information out there, a lot, so much that I can't even get into. But so you do want to be very, very careful about that. Particularly when you're doing any kind of spiritual work, you want to be very careful about who you're letting into your space and who you're allowing to help you. Because this is the most powerful work that there is. And you do not want somebody messing all up in your stuff who you don't trust. I'm being very real with you. I have had clients who have come to me who have had all kinds of stuff unleashed on them from people that they trusted, that they went to for help, and they couldn't help them. They didn't know what they were doing, and they actually ended up causing more problems for them. I've had people who have come to me that their siblings, their cousins, their aunties, their family members have cause problems for them, have literally gone to somebody, have paid somebody to, do some negative stuff on them. I've seen the gamut of things. And unfortunately, a lot of times I see that happening. A lot of times with Africans, a lot of times with Caribbean, a lot of times even people from the South, people that are more aware of these things. Because I'm going to tell you, us Northerners, I'm from Connecticut, us or Northerners, we're like, what? That's not true. That don't happen. Whatever. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So people who are more aware. So there are, societies, there are cultures, Native Americans, you have shamanism. There are definitely cultures that are more who understand this work. Much so, much more so. And so one of the things that I want to say is that if you are familiar, that there is the dark and there is the light. Because there's the balance in all things. There's high and low, up and down, right and wrong, left and right. There's yin and yang. There is balance in all things. And so just like you have light, you also have dark. And the same things that cause the dark are also the same things that can cause the light. So it's important to understand that in this realm in life, all of these things exist. It's not one or the other, but it's both. There is always an opposite in everything that exists. In everything, male, female, there's always opposites. So you have to understand that. So even if you're a person that just says, Avalaura, I don't know about this, you don't have to believe me, but it's still true. That's one of the things that I've learned. You don't have to believe it in order for it to be true. It's still true. You just may not believe. And it's been very interesting, the experiences that I've had with Marabout and working with people, and how many people simply don't get the help that they need just because they don't believe. Just because you don't believe, so you essentially limit your options. You limit yourself to what you understand. And because you don't understand, that you don't believe, you never quite get the help that you need because you're not even open to it. I've seen so many of those things. It's been, this has been a wild ride with Marabout in my life. It has been a wild ride, but a lot of the things that I've helped people with, like I said, are curses, black magic, removing negative entities, negative energy. from your space cleansings, home cleansings, protection, even overall health and well-being. I get people who come to me who are doing relatively well, who simply say, Avalaura, I want to be better. Money problems is a big one, or even just making more money. I have some pretty wealthy clients who come to me who are doing well, who want to do better because they understand. What's really interesting is that a lot of times people who are very wealthy are also much more liberal in their thinking and understanding that this stuff exists. It tends to be the poor people, poor physically and mentally, who don't believe in this stuff. But it's the people who are really wealthy who like, oh, I know this is real. And not only do I know it's real, I've used somebody. They get it. It's been very interesting to see the dynamics in that. So I've definitely helped people, who want more money, who dabble in stocks and things like that. Avalaura, what should I invest in? Right? Where should I put my money? How can I grow my money and make more money? I'm at $1 million. How can I get 2 million? I'm at 2 million. How can I get 5 million? I've worked with people like that. Even mental illness. And not to say that all mental illness has a spiritual basis, because mental illness is hereditary. Mental illness, there are natural reasons for mental illness. It's a very real phenomenon, but sometimes mental illness is spiritual in nature. Sometimes it's not a natural phenomenon at all, but it is something, it's something that someone has done to you that has caused that have literally have made you go crazy. It happens. Infertility, legal problems, court cases, missing persons. Gosh, there's so many things, so it's kind of like when in doubt, particularly when I get a client, they've tried everything else, or when in doubt, they want something that's really going to work for them. I always suggest Marabout. And it starts with a reading. That's how it starts. It never just starts with, okay, let's do this work. It always starts with a reading in terms of what's going on. Let me get an accurate sense of what's happening here. Just like if you go to a doctor for an exam, if you go to a doctor and you say, doctor, there's something wrong with me. I'm sick, but I don't know what's wrong. I'm getting the chills. I have a cold. I'm having problems sleeping, whatever it might be, you name the symptoms, and the doctor's going to say, okay, let's run some tests. Let's see what's going on. That's what the reading is for me. It's a test. It's a spiritual test. It's kind of what is happening, what's going on, what are we missing, what can't we see? So it's my way of seeing spiritually what's happening. And then I can say, okay, now that I know what the problem is, now I know how to treat it. Now I know what the problem is. Now I know how to treat it. So it's a really amazing system. It is not for everybody. It is not for everybody. I'm going to tell you right now, it is not. If you are a person that's not open, if you are very skeptical, if you just, you just don't believe in God, you just don't believe that things like this are possible, it's not for you. It just isn't. You have to be open. You have to be open to the possibilities. Even if you don't understand, you have to be open. And most people don't understand. I didn't understand. I still learn. Every time I do work for somebody, I learn something new because there's so much just vast information. There's so much to learn. There's so many things that you just can't know until you know. They always say you don't know what you don't know. Well, you can't know until you know. You just can't. Until you're exposed to something new, until you are put in the situation that says, what in the world is this? What in the world? That's Marabout. That's spiritual work. That's spiritual healing. It is a true dive into the unknown. And it's a beautiful experience if you're ready for it, if you're open to it. So I hope that you've learned something new today. I know that was a lot of information in a very short amount of time. A lot in a very short amount of time. And there's so much more. But today, I really just wanted you to understand that again, there's so much out there that you're not aware of, that you haven't been exposed to. And whatever it is that you're going through in life, I promise you, even if you're not open to Marabout, even if this isn't it for you, just understanding that there is always another way. There's always another way. There's always more out there. And some of you, I know that I'm speaking to your soul because you knew that there was more out there, but you just didn't know what it was. I know I'm talking to you because I was that person. I knew that there was something else, but I couldn't wrap my head around it. I wasn't exposed to it, but I just knew, intuitively that I was missing something, that something was going on that I couldn't understand, that I couldn't describe. But I knew when I was seeing people coming to me in different states that I had never seen before, or just things weren't working for them, that something had to be up. Something was going on. There was something more that I was missing. So this is such a beautiful practice to experience that more, whatever the more is for you. So again, this is all about Marabout Spiritual Healing. If you want to know more, go to my website. There's not a lot of information. I know everybody's like, I'm going to Google it. There's not a lot of information on Google. And sometimes even when there is, you can't really trust it. So you got to be careful. Because again, there really is a lot of false, misleading information. The best way to learn, this is a teacher to student system. That's really the best way to learn. You're not going to find a whole lot of information out there. It's not like, there you got all these different traditions. You have Yoruba, you have Santeria, you got Ifa, you have all these different things. And Marabout is one of those things that you're not going to find it in a book because it doesn't exist. Everything that I learned from my teacher, he wrote it down for me. He gave it to me, memorize it, and then he would burn it. That's how powerful this stuff is, because you don't want it to get in the wrong hands. It is very powerful information that you never want to get into the wrong hands. So there's really no trace of it. So you're not going to find a lot online. It is teacher to student. That's how you're going to learn. So there's a little bit of information on my website at avalaura.com if you want to kind of investigate and look more about that. But yeah, it's just one of those things that it's such a beautiful practice if you're open to it. So I'm so happy to share it with you. And just remembering that there's no problem in the world that does not have a spiritual solution. So open your eyes, expand, and know that there's so much out there. And in the realm of healing, in the realm of spirituality, there is so much more to learn. So with that being said, I look forward to speaking and sharing more with you. This has been another amazing edition of Avalaura Heals. Come back next Sunday for more. Email me at avalaura@avalaura.com. You got questions and you're like, whoa, Avalaura, what was that? Okay, you sparked something for me. I don't know what to do with this. I get that all the time. Contact me. Let's talk. I look forward to tapping into you and helping you and tuning in next week. Until then, wishing you peace, love, and bountiful blessings.
Would you like to learn more about the healing art of Reiki? Reiki is an amazing, holistic, natural treatment that helps you mind, body, and spirit. It's wonderful for releasing pain, anxiety, stress, improving your sleep, your harmony, your well-being, removing energy blockages, and so much more. As one of my clients said, Reiki feels like you're bathed in a warm cocoon of sunshine. If you've always wanted to learn Reiki and want to practice it yourself or for your friends, your clients, your family, go to ReikiPowerWorkshops.com. That's REIKI Power Workshops with an S.com. And find out how you can participate in my upcoming trainings in the DC metro area. Again, go to Reiki, REIKI, Power, POWER, Workshops, WORKSHOPS, ReikiPowerWorkshops.com, and join my upcoming Reiki trainings.
Hey, beautiful. Thank you for listening to another edition of Avalaura Heal My Life podcast. Join me each and every week to move from whole to wholeness in your life, your relationships, your business, and your career. And if now is the time for you to embrace all that you are for your most incredible life, go ahead and email me today at avalaura@avalaura.com for your own personal consultation. And while you're at it, I'm Googleicious, so you can find more information about me online. Go to my website at avalaura.com and join my mailing list.